the baddest guy in HR. What's that line? I forget.
I'm Chad.
And I'm Cheese.
And we are the Chad and Cheese podcast. HR's most dangerous. We talk about topics around recruiting. You should listen if you're interested. Find out more at cheese.com or search Chad Cheese Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And we are on the SaasHoles show today because whiskey.
2 bottles.
Good reason. Good reason.
I still need my bottle, by the way. This is bullshit.
Oh, what? Did he give you any of that? That's
We're in a pandemic, dude.
That's Indianapolis rules there. I understand why Sowash is the way he is.
I wonder why you're getting recruited by Hooters.
Sowash.
That's a hot job in Indy. Hooters and Costco.
Hooters and
Nothing
Twin
wrong with
Peaks.
it.
Take us away, Pete. Get it going.
Welcome to the SaasHoles, a show dedicated to issues within the software as a service industry. Jamie, Jason, and Pete have a combined 100 years of making mistakes and more than happy to share them with you. Please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and smash that like button on Facebook, Instagram, and follow us on Twitter. Today, we are joined with extreme special guests, Joel Cheesman and Chad Sowash from the Chad and Cheese podcast.
Part 2.
Extreme.
HR's
To the
most
extreme.
dangerous focus.
We rock the pod like a bandit.
This episode is brought to you by NeuroNoodle. Hey, athletes, get a doodle of your noodle, a brain map before the season starts, so you have a baseline to compare it to. You get a physical every year, right? Get a brain map or check.
How much does that cost, Pete?
For you, double. Visit neuronoodle.com.
I gotta get my daughter out there. She's doing lacrosse. I gotta get her out there.
A doodle of your noodle. That sounds.
Get a doodle. Yes.
Yeah.
And the owner is a great guy.
Yeah.
Has great clients. Love him. Love him. Keep him coming. And no, he won't advertise on your show.
So he's not looking for listeners then. Okay.
Pull your noodle.
Nice.
Carney.
He's the only one who laughs for these jokes. Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Carney,
Yeah, Pete.
did you know that 5 out of 4 people admit they're bad with fractions?
Yeah, I know. It's so bad, Pete. It's such a bad joke.
Isn't it supposed to be
Thank
5?
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shouldn't it be 5/4 of people, not 5 out of 4?
That's what he said the first time. Yes. That was
I did.
Much better delivery. You might
I
want
was
to
just
run that
looking for
again,
that.
Pete.
Did I mention I have a hard
Alright,
stop in like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think my 40 minutes free time runs out. Any
A bottle of
shout outs,
whiskey only
guys?
gets you so far.
No shout outs.
No shit.
We've
Cheese, you got
much
anybody
time
out there?
bullshitting. We got to get into this podcast.
Hey, there is a piece of news, Pete, that we didn't cover because somebody did die. I'm gonna
Somebody
go through
did
the
die.
obituary. Yeah. Bernie
It's a hot
Madoff.
topic.
He died. He died.
He's feeling the heat.
Yes.
Bag.
I was reading that article and then I forgot how unbelievably awful and crazy that whole thing was. So
How much
he's
did you
now dead.
lose?
Oh, millions with
Yeah,
that
like
fella.
Well, other news
40,000
is-
investors.
Another news, sort of in the same, not in the same, but Stephen Avery, isn't he like innocent now? Somebody came forward with that,
No.
making a murder. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Who's Stephen Avery?
Making a murder is like the biggest
Netflix.
documentary ever.
So
Okay.
that
Over
the
type
funniest
thing.
the funniest part about that entire documentary is they have 10 words that they say the entire time. It's like,
Mhm.
you okay? Yeah, no. It's like they make these
They're
sounds
complete hillbillies.
and it's like
Sounds like they're
it's
from Minnesota.
fucking ridiculous, dude.
Wisconsin, close enough. And I believe it was the uncle or something like that. They found him. I don't know if it's fully.
Let me know when they release the Tiger King.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jamie, where's your background?
I should have changed it.
So Chad and Cheese, man, we've been doing this podcast 9 months. Yeah, we still suck at it, but we suck less. You guys have been doing it for a while. Like, what's your background? Chad, you started in the old OCC or Monster, right?
Yeah,
98, 99.
But as for purposes of a podcast, I was actually in radio before, and we were starting to go into the digital age in radio. So therefore, when we were looking at production for commercials at local radio stations, I actually had a hand in trying to play with that new tech. So later, when we started to do the podcast, I had a little bit of experience into that, not to mention also creating kind of like our format. And within radio, you have an hour, obviously. And within that hour, you have stop sets where commercials are played, so on and so forth. So really just took that old school terrestrial radio into the podcasting era. And that's kind of where we started.
So how long you been carrying Joel?
My whole life.
Like,
what would be your biggest advice for anyone starting up a podcast? What's the most important thing?
Just do it. Our first podcast was shit. Our second podcast was shit. Our third podcast was, so it took us a while to be able to kind of like find our way. Yeah. And overall, as you jump into it, know that content obviously matters. The reason why we had so many listeners so fast is because in HR, everybody's buttoned up and nobody wants to say what they really feel, but we were. And we had a bunch of old HR ladies coming up to us at events going, I've been thinking that for 30 years, but I just hadn't said it. Thank you. Right. So be true to who you are, not to mention also focus on quality. As soon as we started to really focus heavily on, compression and normalization of actual audio tracks and whatnot, and taking more time and doing that, we noticed listeners actually said that they noticed a difference. And if they notice a difference, that means hopefully they're consuming more content.
And what was it about? Why a podcast? There are lots of ways to distribute your thoughts or content or, be out in the world. Why was it a podcast as opposed to some other delivery mechanism?
Hockey stick.
So a little known fact about us, we actually had a podcast in the mid 2000s before there was an iPhone. And if you remember those days, you used to put a little audio blog embed on your blog and then people would play it on the internet.
Yeah.
And at the time,
if their computer had sound.
It wasn't ready yet, but he and I were like, oh, let's just talk. And we had chemistry and it was fun for both of us, I think. And then we left it. And then when I came back and podcasts had become a thing, he kept like, dude, we got to start the podcast again. I was like, no, fuck that. So we eventually got to a point. I said, okay, we'll put up a landing page and we'll say, if we can get 100 people to say we want to listen to this, then we'll do it. And we had 100 plus signatures or emails come in. I was like, okay, I can't say no now. We have 100 people saying I'll listen. We got a sponsor, which was another of my prerequisites. And I said, this is another important point as well. You have to commit to it. If you do a podcast, everyone has a few shows in them. You got to do, I said a year. I said, I'll do this for 12 months, do a weekly show and whatever else happens. And then a year, we'll see where we are. The people who do 4 shows and like nobody listens and they're done, you're wasting your time. Like you have to commit to it. Know what you're going to talk about and commit to it because you need time to get traction. I mean, Chad and I have been in the industry for 20 plus years each, which is nothing you can't teach, right? You can't teach experience. No one with 2 years experience can make a podcast and talk about Jobster and Career Builder in 2005 and the first Monster ad. Like we have context that people don't have, which I think lends itself to the success of the show. People like you guys can listen and say, oh shit, Jobster, Jason Goldberg, I remember him, and that context is there. So I think that's powerful as well.
Yeah.
When I started doing a podcast when I was at Outmatch, I always kind of figured that no one was going to listen to the first 4 anyway. Like those were really for me to figure out the process of getting a guest. How do you edit the thing and how do you distribute the thing? And then, after about a year, it was like, okay, I think some people are listening and that's great. I mean, I thought it was going to be a pretty slow ramp up. Like it's not an immediate, I never felt like it was going to be an immediate, like, this is amazing. There's some time. Did you feel that way too? Did you you have that experience? I mean, you had 100 people say yes, but you feel like, God, these first episodes
I definitely
are for
knew
us.
it would suck before it was good.
Yeah.
But I also knew that we knew what we were talking about. We had the network, so we have thousands of LinkedIn followers. We have Twitter, so we have a little bit of infrastructure there to build a podcast. People that have none of that, they're in a really, it's a mountain to climb if you have no network or no knowledge about what you're talking about.
Yeah. And now
you could have a silky voice like me, but still not succeed.
Right.
And now we're at the next level where we're over 650 episodes, and we're focusing on content consumption strategies, right? We're doing that. We're looking at partnerships and being able to penetrate new and different markets. In 2019, when we used to go to events, we were on 20 different stages. So we were making appearances, doing podcast-like things, and then publishing them back into the stream. So I think you have to think veritably outside of the box and how a podcast is actually delivered. Can you do them live? Yeah, you can do them live. We've done them live. What else can you do? And then also a lot of the promotions that we do, we give away beer to listeners. We give away bourbon to listeners. We give away t-shirts.
I got one of them. I meant to put it on.
Cheesman thought I was an idiot. He's like, nobody's going to want our t-shirt. Everybody's freaking storming the stage in London during Wreckfest for Chad and Cheese t-shirts. I got lucky on that one. But overall, it's like, don't be afraid to step out of the box. Just fucking do it.
I underestimated how much
you also got to remember, you're talking to HR people. You're talking to HR people. I've been to SHRM. Those guys have zero pride in what they wear, swag. They'll walk out of SHRM with every ridiculous looking thing ever you can put on them. It's almost, I wanted to just do a contest and say, what is the ugliest, most insane thing ever? Can we give that away and see if they wear it around Vegas? And they would.
I had someone take my tie. I had someone ask me at SHRM if they could take my tie. And
was that when you were wearing the orange Chuck Taylors? Was that
no? This predates orange Chuck Taylors.
Was there an outfit before the Chuck Taylors?
I think it was an orange tie. It was an orange tie, yeah. And somebody said, "Well, can I get the tie?" So we're running out of stuff. People are grabbing it like there's no tomorrow. Hey, so I got another specific podcast question.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we use that, Pete, or no? He's on mute.
Plausible deniability. So
you guys.
Yes, that means yes. You can.
Yeah, right.
You guys talk a good game.
So in terms of podcasts, like what other than your show, because you should always vote for yourself. What are some of those podcasts that either were like inspirations for you, or that you still listen to? You're like, oh man, that one's great for this reason. Because there are a million of them, right? So what are the ones that sort of pop out to you? Like, gotta read that, gotta hear that.
So it was funny because Pod Save America was one that I listened to, and they're talking politics and they're dropping the F-bomb all the time, and I'm like, I fucking love this. Yeah. And then when we received feedback, I think mainly from our wives, saying, should probably keep it PG-13. Well, PG-13 means you get one F-bomb per show, and we were racing to that F-bomb. Then we would go to live events, and we actually heard from the old HR ladies that they thought we'd ask why do you like our show, and they say, well, because you're authentic, because you're genuine. And I'd say, okay, so how do you know we're genuine? Well, because you cuss. And I told Joel, it's out of the bag now. We are going to be who we are, probably drop more F-bombs than we normally do, but overall, I think there was that in itself, just to say, be who you are, be genuine, say what you feel, whether you're wrong or right, it doesn't fucking matter, right?
Yeah, a lot of it was born out of just Chad and I spending time at bars and talking shop in the industry, and like saying, why don't we just put a mic in front of us and record this shit and put it out there? And that's essentially what the show still is.
Yeah, and that was exactly what we said in like 2007 when we started the first one. I mean, I found somebody shared one of the first podcast screenshots or something like that, and that's exactly what it said. If two guys sat down at a bar at a conference, what would it sound like?
Yeah.
Chad and Cheese.
Yeah.
That's sort of what we were going for, Pete. So we said the exact same thing when we started. We said two guys in a conference room just talking shop.
Yeah. I think originally we thought we
just didn't drop F-bombs. So F-bombs is the way to get more fuck. All right, good. We got traffic now.
Yeah. So it's a curse show.
So are you guys going to stay in the HR, the software vertical? I mean, are you going to expand out? Like we got Jason to help us out with marketing. We got Carney with finance. We might bring a legal guy on. You guys do some consulting on the side. Do you think you're going to branch out, or you're going to stay to what, your focus?
I mean, we have, I think the world of work touches everything, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, is that in talent acquisition, we don't focus on workforce economics. We don't focus on the actual numbers on how we, as the machine of an entire organization, actually impact the organization's bottom line. So, I mean, we have a Columbia professor of economics who actually has come on and has done two interviews with us. Cindy Gallup, who is known incredibly well throughout the marketing space. I think we need to have broader discussions about what talent actually is, because we have totally, as an industry, shoehorned ourselves into a little bitty area, and we're happy with that. And that's total fucking bullshit. We are everything. We are the engine of this goddamn economy. Until we stand up and grow a set of nuts, we're not gonna do anything more, right? So I don't think that we can like say that we're not gonna go different areas, because they all touch talent.
I keep trying to get him into fantasy football, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. It was really eye-opening for us to go to a marketing conference a few years ago and have every CMO and CEO go on stage and say, our people are our most important asset, and then ask them about their recruiting and them not knowing shit about what the hell they're doing with recruiting. So to us, there was a real disconnect with what leadership was saying and what the reality was. So to Chad's point, the more we can build a bridge to multiple departments of a company and the C-suite, I think we're doing everyone a service by doing that. Let's
be honest, though. That is a cop-out. When somebody says our brand is our differentiator or our people is a differentiator, people are, that means the company doesn't have a differentiator in their products, typically.
Overall.
Brand gets worn out over time. So you don't have that differentiation for a long time. And people get worn out over time too.
Almost every CEO will say it's our people, it's our customers, and then it's our shareholders.
And that's bullshit. It's got to be product. We got to have some sort of difference in the product.
You have to tie it to revenue.
Yeah. When you're talking internally, of course, I'm going to say, you are our most valuable asset, the people. But the reality is the product and the messaging has to be the most, and that's why the people work there. The people work there so they can make money, not because
there might not be a product without people.
Agree. I totally agree. But that product better be good.
And the question is, okay, so in many different areas, you have how many jobs open and what does that actually cost per day to the bottom line? If you're not selling, if you have sales positions, if you have customer service positions, how does all of that actually impact your bottom line, right?
Oh, yeah.
First off, not to mention, as Joel had talked about, CMOs. It's a total blind spot for CMOs because we have a shit candidate experience. Those candidates could easily be leads for a product that you're not going to sell them. Or they're not going to fly in your airline, or they're not going to use your product or your service or whatever it is. CMOs aren't looking at talent. They're not looking at applicant tracking systems, process methodologies, anything like that. And they should be. This should be more of a holistic conversation, and it's just not. And I blame talent acquisition because we need to push the ball forward because nobody's going to do it for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are the most valuable asset. Yeah. I'm just saying differentiation. It's not people. It's got to be your product or technology or something else. But yeah, I totally agree. I think talent acquisition. I think HR has taken a back seat, and they should be on the front seat for a lot of the stuff, because that's how you're going to get people excited about your product. You might have a great product, but when you bring people in here, they might already be looking for a job right away because they don't understand what they came in for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I just thought of in terms of when we were talking about CMOs don't think about the employee experience and the recruiter experience. The last two roles I was in, it's not that we didn't focus on that, but that's not the directive from the owner, the board, whatever. And I think there's a huge opportunity for you two guys to talk to private equity firms and venture capital firms to say, listen, you have these playbooks for the different functions of a business. And inside that marketing playbook should also exist this employee / culture, and that circle overlaps with human resources, because every job I talk to about CMOs, it's demand gen, product marketing, and brand never intersects with human capital. And so I think there's a blind spot for CMOs, but CMOs are also put in a lane where they're said, like, this is how we're going to measure your success. And it's essentially demand generation. And so, maybe that means I got to put someone on my team who cares about that. But I think there's a huge opportunity there for you guys to invite CMOs on the show and to get that conversation started with private equity firms and things too, because they're just not, that time is not, it's a blind spot, but nobody's spending time on that. Yeah. It's like afterthought.
Another great interview. We had Ellie Doty from, she's now the CMO of Burger King. She was the CMO of Chili's. We've had those conversations, and we just need to push it further. You just can't stop. And I think employer brand professionals, they feel like they're so much different than regular marketing, and they are to an extent, because there's so much, the experience so much different than going and buying a Yeti cooler online, transactional versus something that actually matters. It has more of a deeper emotional meaning when you're going to work for somebody, 40 hours a week, weekends, blood, sweat, and tears, those types of things. So there's more of a tie than a transaction. But being able to actually connect that into, well, can we sell more coolers if we're actually treating people better? On the candidate side, we saw that Virgin Media lost, what was it, $6 million? At least that's what they could find, because they were treating their candidates like shit. And those individuals were just like saying, screw you, I'm going to go to your competitor. Right.
Yeah. They're customers, right? These people are all customers too. And so you have to have this view of, I've got to care about this in a way that I'm not used to caring about it. And then measure it, like make it important by putting a measure on it or something.
Like Chad mentioned Yeti, and they were on stage with us at the conference that we attended. And go apply to a job at Yeti and tell me if at the end of it you feel like you got the Yeti brand experience.
Nope.
And I'm sure you can guess that you don't get the Yeti brand experience when you go.
Well, Joel asked Bill Neff. He was like, "When's the last time you applied for a job at Yeti?" And he's like, "I never have." Right? I mean,
it's an afterthought. And if turn it to the recruiters and say, "Go find me people," and then they get mad when the recruiters can't find them.
And then when the CMO realizes that they're getting 1 million applies a year, they go, maybe I should pay attention to the apply process, because 1 million people are touching our brand.
You should have heard the gasp in the room when Lynn Bailey from Intel actually said they received over 1 million applications, not visits, applications a year. The CMOs in the room were like, how are we not a part of that?
How many Yeti coolers could we sell to those 1 million people?
That's always that is a great point there, Joel, that there's always been an opportunity. If someone is applying to your job and you're a retail brand, that should also be an engagement period to sell them, say, hey, while you're waiting for us to give you an answer, here's a free Yeti trinket, and here's a coupon to get 20% off. No one thinks of that. We tried to push that at Cribble.
Joel's always pushing free Chipotle or free Taco Bell. I mean,
it'd be so easy to email him a coupon. Right? Like, thanks for taking your time to apply. Have a free burrito.
I remember when we tried that. I think we tried it at Chipotle, and I believe the CMO was like, no, they didn't want it. And we're like, why not? Because then we'd be able to track how much value we were bringing outside of the application process and be able to put it. I think that's the reason why, because they knew then we'd be going, if you want to keep that program going, you got to pay us some money.
Yeah, we know the guys at Chipotle now, and I can almost guarantee you they would do that.
They would do it now.
Yeah. Well, and I think things have been, advanced. There's a lot of convergence in the I think the C-suite potentially thinks of themselves as a team more than ever now, right? So there's a little bit of convergence, and I understand people who apply are my customers, and if I do coupons, like there might be a little more understanding about that. It might be easier to do in today's world too.
Yeah, and there's technology now that's beyond print out a coupon. It could be like show this QR code.
That's right.
So that they track, the actual person.
Look at Joel talking about QR codes. Oh.
They're back, baby.
They're back.
The pandemic has raised them from the grave.
That's right.
They are.
That's right.
So why are we doing? Why are we doing podcasts? Why aren't we fixing everybody's user experience? Why aren't they hiring us all? Let's go.
Because what Jamie said, nobody wants to do it. We're spinning our wheels. I don't know.
They just want to embrace the suck.
So what do you want to do? Have a podcast on how to send coupons to job applicants? That's not a lot of shows.
Do a series.
Maybe two.
Do a series. Have
QR code
Chipotle
rebirth
pay for
series.
it. You'll be good. Yeah.
There's 100 pain points that company suffers. You got to get the 2 or 3 that they're really all talking about. This is something that they're not all talking about.
I'd like to see some of the more popular marketing podcasts try to embrace recruiting and that whole process and how they can use marketing to improve it. I don't see any of that.
Yeah, no, it's always, how do I make my SDR team better, right?
Yep.
Like, so let's actually.
How do I get more out of my Facebook ads?
Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Is that a good one, Pete? That got Pete's funny.
He's still on mute. He just goes on mute all the time.
I don't know why he's muting himself.
He's in Minnesota. Is there really fires burning?
He's so shy.
What's going on?
I got elk. You drive by.
I got to keep ducking.
I mean, seriously, I want to mute him all the time, but he's doing it himself.
Yeah, it's no fun that way.
Yeah, Carney. So, all right. So we want to do podcasts. We don't want to get a team together. I think this would be a great advisory board to, put on a task, in case anybody wants to suck less. We are the masters of sucking less.
Yeah.
I will say that in terms of podcasts, none of us are getting the $100 million Joe Rogan buyout. So to understand what you actually want from doing a podcast is really important, because if your mission doesn't sync up with your energies and resources, then don't do it. And I think a lot of people just start a podcast and not know, why am I doing this? What's the end goal? Do I want to make money? Do I just want to build my brand? Do I just want to have shits and giggles? Like, know that before you start a podcast.
You said it earlier, and consistency, because I think with podcasts now, you're getting into somebody's routine. They're going to listen to you at a certain time in your life. And if you're not consistent getting them up and you miss that routine, they're going to go somewhere else. Number 2, the quality of the sound. I know ours sucks, but it's like, if I get the quality right, then I'm going to miss a time or two. So we got to get better at that. And then the content. Okay, we've exhausted what we have. Then we get people like you or guests to come on, because our market is people that just got plopped in a role. Nobody's spending time to train anybody, and they want to get some advice. So hopefully there's always going to be somebody new out there. So hopefully we can get that little niche, and then maybe join you for a kickoff one time once everybody gets their shots.
Everyone gets their shots.
Yeah, I got mine.
I get number 2 today.
Wow.
Oh, have fun. I felt like I got slapped on the ground.
Yeah, everybody says 2. That.
Yeah, it was a rough 24 hours. No, I felt great, but
yeah. Which one did you get? Did you get Pfizer?
You got 2 Johnson and Johnsons.
Oh, I got 2 Johnsons.
No, I'm asking about the shot. I'm asking about the shot.
2 Moderna.
Okay, Pete's talking about the shot.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You said Johnson,
but
so I was like,
it was rough.
Yeah, I missed that. Moderna or Pfizer?
Moderna.
Okay.
That one's Pfizer here.
Yep.
No,
Pfizer.
It's not. Here's what I noticed. Depending where you get it, people are complaining they can't find it. people schedule the times and then they don't show up. So you have to just keep calling every day to get it. And then for the counties, at least in Illinois, what I saw, the first shot I got was from volunteers, and the second one was from the National Guard. It seemed to me the National Guard had a little bit better together
How did we go from feeling like shit to National Guard and keep calling people? I missed the transition there.
Getting the shot.
Well, get your shot so we can get together to go out and hang out, and I can personally bribe you with 2 bottles of booze.
I feel like we're all,
use it, give them to somebody else.
We're all on track to get vaccinated. I don't think I need to call the National Guard.
Yeah,
I think I'm good. I called.
I mean, if you personally call the National Guard, they're probably going to not take that call seriously.
Yeah,
I called
my
Vinny.
guess.
Vinny.
I can't wait another 9 months to do this.
They're throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall right now.
Yeah.
I think
seems like they're desperate to grow.
Google's the X factor.
Yeah,
they've always been the place. What was that the first time around?
Google Base.
Google Base.
Yeah, Google Base.
Are they growing? Is Google growing at all? The jobs, is it really growing?
There's actually a really good article by John Zapp, who I think we all know on the call, and is a thoughtful writer on this topic. And he has an article.
He's a tender lover.
He has an article on AIM Group, which is a paywall. So
he got into Johnson & Johnson as well?
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson. Yeah, I knew that a thoughtful answer to a question was going to go off the track here. But he has a thoughtful outline of Facebook and Google and what they've meant to the competition in our industry. And I'll just stop talking now because everyone's laughing. But
that's an important point, which is innovation happens when people get pushed from either they can or they're scared by somebody else doing it. And I think that is what effectively that's probably what Google Base did, right? I don't know if they turned that into anything, but it scared the shit out of everybody, and everybody started shoveling money into product development and trying to do things that didn't exist until then.
I mean, vertical search is here, and no click search is here, and people are suffering less traffic. And I forget who we talked to the other day, and they probably don't want us to mention their name anyway, but the number of clicks and traffic to the site is shit. And part of that is the economics of the world right now, but part of it is you go to Google, you look at jobs, you don't have to click anywhere until you apply. Right. So people are just browsing on Google and not going to any job sites until they actually apply. And they're learning that I can just apply to the corporate website, and Google's just one of the sites that I go to. I don't know, it's just behavior has changed, and I think we're all trying to figure out, has it changed for good? Is this a temporary thing? How do I evolve? And like Chad said, with throwing spaghetti at the wall, that's what Indeed's doing. It's like Indeed Flex, Indeed Prime. What else can we launch that might be a thing? Because
it's crazy. I feel like nowadays job boards are just buying from job boards.
Yeah, it's arbitrage.
Like you click on it, it's all arbitrage. You click on any job and you get reconnected. I know it's been, but it's even more so now. You click on a job on LinkedIn, it goes to ZipRecruiter.
Yeah. Well, and
probably through an interchange.
Yeah. Plus now, I mean, there's a whole spam industry of, I'm going to get my shit on Google for jobs, and I'm not even a real thing.
Yeah.
And I know that's historically, but it's so easy now to get content on Google for jobs.
Yeah.
And just be, joelsjobs.com and start getting traffic and getting profile information and everything that goes into that. And no one is really talking about that, and they probably should.
Well, and there's a ton of budget out there right now that can't be spent through programmatic vendors because the clicks aren't happening.
Yeah.
The traffic's not happening. So therefore there's budget just laying there ready to be spent. Unfortunately, it won't be, because you need the traffic to be able to get
when do you guys think the great rehire is actually going to occur? Because I feel like everyone talks about how our economy is going to bounce back so fast and so quick. And they've been talking about that now for 4 or 5 months. I feel like the only people it's bouncing back for is sales, because people need more sales.
Herd immunity and the government checks running out.
Yeah, that's true.
And paying
government checks running
paying
out
people something that's more of a living wage. I mean,
here we go.
At this
there
point,
we go. Come on, Sowash.
At this point, if you take a look at trying to pull people back in, like Joel was saying, they have checks, and why go back to a shitty fucking job that pays me $12 an hour? I mean, why? Or $10 an hour? I mean, why go back to that fucking job? There's no reason to. Although we actually talked to Seth Feit from Spectrum this morning at Charter Communications, and they raised their minimum wage to $18. Next year is going to be $20, right? That in itself is going to drive people to say, I want those types of positions. Those are careers that I want to be associated with.
Yeah.
Inflation, small business.
I agree. By the way, the whole minimum wage is kind of, it's really, if you look at the population that was getting paid minimum wage, it was like 3% of the population. It's usually kids.
Well,
usually,
minimum
most
wage
of the people get that your entrance wage. I know, but
$7.25.
most of those people were getting paid double that within 6 months at working at any of those companies. It was usually there for like college kids that were getting summer jobs.
But that's not how we do business in America anymore. That was back in the days when we actually had manufacturing. We don't have that shit anymore. That's all outsourced, right? That was days long past. That was 80s trickle down economics, and NAFTA fucked us. Okay. Now we have individuals who are grown people who have to work part-time jobs, getting paid 10 to 12 fucking dollars per hour to try to make sure that the kids get fed. Yeah. This is not that time, Jamie. It is not that time. Yeah. So we have to understand that we have to take care of our people so that they are not just keeping their head above water. Not all of them are. We have to make sure that they're being taken care of.
You guys are the HR experts. So what percentage of the businesses out there are small businesses?
85.
Yeah. But still there are a lot of those. And
how are they going to pay those people?
Well,
that's all I'm
going to say this very easily. If you cannot pay a living wage, you do not deserve to be in business. Period. Fuck off.
Oh, I'm using that.
Yeah, that is total bullshit, because people say, well, I just can't meet my margins. Well, guess what? You're a shitty business owner. You know how many small businesses, going back to my radio days, how many small businesses I went into to try to talk to them about radio advertising? They knew nothing about business. They knew about crocheting or making wax candles or whatever the fuck it was, but they knew nothing about business, and they were shit. And they went out of business in, 18 months or what have you. That's the problem. Not to mention when the government starts feeding these businesses that are shit in the first place money. I don't agree with that. I think the people should get the money, and then true capitalism means they will spend it where they deem necessary. That's how business grows. We don't feed it to a bunch of businesses that are shit in the first place.
Joel and Chad, we got Is it Pochio? Is that what Connie said? Pochio?
Yeah, it's Pochio.
It's Poach.ai, assholes. That's funny.
All right.
I said Poach.io and it was Poach.ai.
Just quick, let's give you a little plug. I'm sure that helped.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get new servers to handle the traffic from this show.
Get ready.
Call AWS. Here it comes. Here comes the flood.
Right, the most dangerous podcast. Chad, you got anything going on?
Yeah.
Thank you for your service again.
If you're more than welcome. If you are in marketing, check out the most kick-ass podcast that just actually launched last week. It's called Cult Brand Secrets. The on-stage content of the cult gathering, which actually happens at a very magical area in a castle at the foothills, or actually base of the Canadian Rocky Mountains in Banff. The experience is amazing. The content is the best content. #1 Forbes rated must-attend business event in the world. We've got that podcast just launched last week. It's called Cult Brand Secrets. It's kick-ass. Take a look at it.
Cult Brand Secrets. Okay. And it's chadcheese.com, right? To get some more of this brilliance. Okay, great.
And Pochio.
Nice.
And Pochio.
Pochio.
All right.
I need to go see where Pochio goes.
Yeah, you better get that right now. It's
I love Pochio.
He's
I love
right
it.
now.
I love Pochio.
Thanks for listening to the SaasHoles. On behalf of Jason, Jamie, and myself, Pete, we thank you for listening and ask you to please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Smash the like button on Facebook, Instagram, and follow us on Twitter. If they're not listening, we can't help. Cue the non-copyrighted music.
You're looking good, man. You going to church after this?
Latter-day Saints. You like that?
Whatever floats your boat, man. I don't judge.
Hey, man, you're in Indiana. We got to talk about that. Well,
we got to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. It's on my list. I don't know if it'll make the cut, but how do you get 2 white guys, one's a veteran, in Indianapolis? It appears to me you guys lean left and are woke. How did that happen in Indiana of all states?
So,
yeah,
Chad is way more the wokester than I am. I'm a Republican. I'm just the old school Republicans. Like I'm a Jack Kemp, Reagan, Bush, Dole Republican. I don't recognize the idiots that are in there now. I know there are a few that are still carrying the torch.
Yeah.
But man, Trump has totally hijacked the whole party. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I think
Chad doesn't have any feelings on that.
Feelings on what? I don't have any
Nothing.
He
Nothing
said,
else.
how do a couple wokester liberals have a podcast from Indiana? And I'm like, well, Chad and I are a little bit on the spectrum, different, but
on the spectrum, but
a little bit.
I thought you were talking about politics.
Well, we can
talk about whatever.
We got to find it. Hey, man, it's my dime, my dance floor. We got an hour to figure out how we get people to listen to this. So I called.
This doesn't look like the guy that was on our last show. He lost about 20 years and 10 pounds. I don't know.
Well, it's this nice stash here.
Are we drinking? Are we all drinking?
Oh, absolutely.
Fuck what you guys are doing. I'm drinking.
We should.
You're the only one. No one else has a beer, right?
I don't care.
Jason Ferrara, say hello to these 2 fine individuals.
Holy shit.
Hey, guys.
Jason, you remember me?
I do.
He's a dick, isn't he?
Do you remember our interview 13 years ago?
13 years ago. That's a long fucking time ago.
I visited the Career Builder headquarters and I interviewed you and
Castellini?
Richard? Yeah. That was a long time. Was that 13? See, first of all, I don't feel like it's been that long ago, but if it has,
it would have been around. It would have been 2008. I feel like.
Oh God!
Which is when you were.
That was not the most fun we've ever had at Career Builder in 2008. I can tell you that.
It's gone. It's gone. Plus, I've gone through a lot of therapy since our last time. I'm glad we could salvage 30 seconds of that first show.
Well, do you feel better after raking me over the coals last time? I felt like you got rid of a lot of demons.
I did, and then we went through the election stuff, and then I had these questions because Jamie's on here now. He has his.
Yeah, can you hear me or no?
No. Yes, please put your Elton John glasses on.
Can you hear me?
No.
I was gonna say you guys weren't hearing me. I guess my microphone was on mute.
Jamie from the Midtown Manhattan office there.
Yeah, you like it? I'm really just standing. If I pulled back, you'd realize how pathetic this setup is.
No, your Wi-Fi has improved over the past 9 months, I'll say.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks. Ever since you started climbing up that pole, it's really worked out well.
You're climbing on the pole now.
For years.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and of course,
Are you dancing? Because that's where you make the real money. Climbing doesn't get you a whole lot.
Sliding makes you more of the money, right? Is that?
Joel, he's into that.
You're gonna have to release a bootleg under, basement version that just gets passed around by people.
Yeah.
Well, I think
it can't go mainstream.
No.
All right. The question that I asked these guys, Carney, is how do you get two white guys from Indianapolis? One's a veteran. How do you get them coming across as leaning left and being woke? How does that happen? I just wanted to know.
That's really the question you asked them? I apologize. That's really
get used to that.
Hey, let's get them on the show to ask them
nothing draws interest more than politics.
Yeah, politics and white people talking about white politics and wokeness.
5 white dudes talking about
this white dude
that's the answer. Let's move on.
Let's talk about birth control. what a woman should do with her own body. Let's talk about that.
We should be talking about uterus.
I think your parents should have tried it. So anyways, I'm in Minneapolis.
Pete, go ahead. You were going to say so anyways.
Nothing. I just say
much animosity, man. Let go. Like Oprah said, the greatest forgiveness is the greatest gift you can give yourself. You're in Minnesota?
I'm in Minnesota right now. I came up here with some hot dogs and marshmallows, and I'm waiting for the party to start. Let's go.
Hot dogs and marshmallows. That's
Are you in a car again, Pete?
No,
Have you been in a car since yesterday?
Why is Jason here? Is he the voice of reason with you?
Jason is a new SaasHole.
Oh.
I don't know.
We have 3 SaasHoles.
Wow.
And Jason was added. Yesterday we had a podcast, and it was hysterical because Jason just started at a new job. And we had a guy reach out to us who wanted to be on our podcast. And we said, sure, why not? We'll invite anybody on. And they both get on the show. And it was Jason was like, holy shit, I just had a conference call with this guy 3 hours ago.
Yeah,
we just met each other at the new company.
Yeah, the guy who was on SaasHoles yesterday to talk about building messaging for go-to-market and sales is consulting for the company that I just started working for, and we met each other yesterday twice.
And they both had no clue. And
Exactly,
he wasn't reaching
no
out.
clue.
He wasn't reaching out to us to get into SaasHoles, because when he reached out, Jason wasn't even at that company, or what the company you're at now.
Yeah, so Pete and Jamie invited me to participate when I was in job search mode, and now I have a job, but I like it so much that I asked them to stay, and they said yes.
We can talk about snag a job. I mean, Joel, I said to you that, that carousel game of applying to jobs works in the retail. You were like, you're nuts. I think on one of your texts, I responded and said,
the carousel?
I called it the carousel, but it was like worse. I think snag a job applies to your job on your behalf.
Oh, the ladder.
No, ladders.
Yeah.
And I said it would work at snag a job where they're just looking for heartbeats, because at that point you should just be able to say, I'm looking for a job within walking distance because I'm working retail and I don't really have transportation methods. Apply to anything in retail in a certain area. But it doesn't work across the board. It can only work in that.
Oh no, they don't have internet up there, did they?
Hi, how you doing?
We have a guest caller.
We heard you.
I'm so confused right now.
They got lakes. They just don't have internet.
No, we just had there's a small gathering outside of our house.
We're about to bring it down.
Pitchforks and tiki torches.
Hold on, before we get into it, I think, Joel, you should make up for yesterday. I think you should come back with something so I can post it, or you can. There was a small clip that was used from the last time we got together.
Oh yeah,
that was cute.
Yeah, I know. That was my fucking asshole.
Yeah.
No,
there's no asshole. Came out again.
You got anything to say, Joel, or are you just gonna let it go?
Well, I said it on the first time, and then you dumbasses couldn't publish it. So why should I comment now?
Okay.
So it won't get published again. I understand I hurt your feelings. I understand that you're a sensitive guy.
He's sensitive.
And I shouldn't poke the bear. I think you're a better person for it.
You should poke the bear.
Okay.
But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think I made you stronger.
And he's an asshole too.
Anyways,
all right.
I don't know.
I'm bummed
is-
out. I missed the first.
This is
I'm
over
bummed out.
This is over a decade ago. These are scabs that are a decade old.
Yeesh.
What
These
what
ones
old
are
scabs
scabs.
do?
These
You
wounds
got
are
it out of
deep.
your
I'm
system.
past it.
He's a scab collector.
Wounds are deep.
Oh,
Dickhead, I'm an asshole. You keep sending me whiskey, I'll let you call me whatever you want.
Hey, for 2 bottles of whiskey, that's worth the price.
Well, you called me an asshole so many times. I've never gotten a bottle of anything.
You're on the pole.
Yes, because I'm sliding up and down the pole. All right. So, Pete, why don't you lead since
Yeah, whatever.
notes in front of you? And
Well,
you
how
don't
about
read your
okay?
notes
So
and
if that's Joel's comeback, all right, we'll use that. You want to use any intro there, like hi, Chad and Cheese? I'm on this professional podcast.
Are we recording yet?
Yes,
he
we
records
are.
all the time.
I was given 2 bottles of whiskey
Do you
to come
guys
here.
have any listeners? Like, what are the metrics on this show?
And you're interrupting my beer. What are we talking about?
I need a beer after 10 minutes on this
You
show.
have 3 listeners a day. That's total. That's our max.
Hey,
what
Us.
time zone? do
Me,
you live in,
Jason, and
Chad?
Pete.
So much hate.
The majority of the people that listen to our show are 25 to 36-year-olds that are like new in management and stuff like that. So we're talking.
Wait, is that
What do
your
you-
elevator pitch after yesterday, Carney?
No, that's not my elevator pitch. I was giving them the info. I was
We had
not
an
pitching them
elevator
shit.
pitch yesterday.
Yeah,
Look,
I gotta
basically,
write
So
that
are these
one down.
marketers? Are these like
Mainly sales leaders, but they're all over.
sales, finance, marketing
We talked
guys.
like
They're
what-
trying to.
Like, Joel, think about this. Like, what's the bullshit role of HR? We talk about, hey, don't go to HR with all your problems because they're there to protect the company. You know, sort of make people aware of like really how the corporate world works. And that's typically what we do when we bring on guests. So we've had guests for the last 10
listeners rely on you two to tell them how the corporate world really works.
No,
Do the opposite
laughed
of
at
what we say.
Okay.
Do the opposite. Business is messy. So if you feel uncertain, don't worry. Kids out there, first-time leaders. Listen to our mistakes. Do the opposite. That's all.
yeah.
Hey, Carney.
It's a pitch.
What?
Not the best pitch, but it's a pitch.
Hey,
We have a
Carney.
pitch. What?
It's a thing.
Carney.
What?
Did you know that 5/4 of the people out there admit they're bad with fractions?
Half the time.
All right, can we get this
Good
thing
one.
going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice one. That's a nice one, Pete.
No fake laughter from Ferrara? You're not going to help me
I
out?
laughed. I was laughing.
Do I have to go to an old show to cue the laughter? All right.
Get
Just
my
a
laugh,
soundtrack.
yes.
Just a
Yeah, you
soundtrack
do.
would be fun. This is
Okay.
taped in front of a studio audience.
Of 5.
Yes.
How about this? Hi, this is Chad and Cheese. Pete's a great guy. You're listening to SaasHoles, something like that. However you like to introduce the baddest guy in HR. What's that line? I forget.
I'm Chad,
And I'm Cheese.
and we are the Chad and Cheese podcast. HR's most dangerous. We talk about topics around recruiting. You should listen if you're interested.
Tack.
Find out more at cheese.com or search Chad Cheese Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And we are on the SaasHoles show today because whiskey.
2 bottles.
Good reason.
I
Good
still
reason.
need my bottle, by the way. This is bullshit.
So what? Did he give you any of that? That's
We're in a
4
pandemic,
bottles.
dude.
That's Indianapolis rules there. I understand why Sowash is the way he is.
I wonder why you're getting recruited by Hooters.
Go Ash.
That's a hot job in Indy. Hooters and Costco.
Hooters and
Nothing's
Twin
anything wrong
Peaks.
with it. You
Take
want
us
to punch your
away.
chin there, Joel, so we can get the screenshot?
Punch my chin.
Come on, you know.
Pow.
There you go. There you go.
Kapow.
Everybody, all right.
Oh.
What is this? Like,
Can everybody punch their chin now?
No.
There we go.
I'll punch my chin.
All right. All right. I'm sure that'll make it. Jimmy Carney, thoughts?
My real thought here is you guys are from Indy. When I was driving through Indy, what the hell's up with Whitetown and Brownsburg?
We have Brownstown too. So
Yeah, I saw that.
and Whiteland. And white.
You guys want to talk about woke? That's not woke right there.
Yeah, this is Indiana, my friend. This is Indiana. So
I drove through and I'm like, what the hell? I felt dirty just driving through on that street. I was going to Florida. I was like, holy cow. Did the back when it was created, all the whites say no brown, and then Brownsburg said no whites. I was like, this is great.
Next time I need fireworks, I'll come by and say hi to you guys.
Little known fact about Indiana. There used to be a Berlin, Indiana, and after World War I, they changed the name to Independence, Indiana. So we can change.
Well, Illinois is just as bad. Illinois, when I was in high school, Illinois had a school in Peking, Illinois called Peking High School. They were called the Chinks until like 2002.
My brother-in-law went to that high school.
Did he really?
Yes.
The Dragons.
They said it was they believe at the time that it was directly through the globe where Peking, China was, which I guess it's not anywhere close. But that was the reason why it was called Peking. But it was the Peking Chinks.
That's where Jeff Tweedy went to school.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Tweedy lives a block from me, by the way.
Wilco,
You come down on Halloween. He hands out
Seems
CDs
pleasant.
to his latest.
say hi to his wife Sue. She was my boss at the Cubby Bear back in the day.
Really?
Ooh, just saying.
I've met her. They don't know who I am. I just know who they are.
That's true.
Let me tell you.
Were you
That
in the
week, the Lounge
mid-late 90s, Pete?
Yeah. No.
I may have bought a beer from you at some point.
No. I was there 89 and 94. 94 was the baseball strike. I pieced out.
Probably just missed you.
Just missed me.
I love
man.
it.
That week, I don't know, Pete, if you went to any of those shows that week that Lounge Acts closed many years ago, but that was a hell of a week of some amazing shows in an incredibly tiny venue.
I saw Run DMC at the Cubby Bear. I saw Rage Against the Machine at the Cubby Bear.
Holy from Chicago, right?
No way I let you in.
And the Aphrodisiacs for sure at the Cubby Bear multiple times.
Yeah, because you thought it was something else. We're at time. We're going to keep going? I mean, this is great stuff.
I just had a kid come in and start screaming, so I might have to.
Guys, thank you. Thank you
We
again.
out.
Well, we out.
Thanks, guys.
Let me go leave my 5-star review now. I'll be back.
Thank you.
I'm going to go check out Pochi. I'll be right back.
Peace out, bitches.
See you in 9 months.